White Sox and Chicago Cubs Central. I'm your host, Big Bro. I'm excited to kick it with y'all tonight, man. Been looking forward to this all day. It's been a very busy week of sports for us here in Chicago with the Cubs, the White Sox, and the Bulls and all that. We're going to talk about the series that the White Sox played and the series that the Cubs played prior to the two that are coming up right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for all Chicago baseball. Let's start the show.
What's good, world? I'm your host, Big Bro, on Chicago Baseball Central. Tonight, I want to talk about a few things with the White Sox and the Cubs. I'm waiting on my boy Antonio to get with me. Sorry about that. The dogs are coming down the stairs. Antonio's going to be joining us real soon. But the Cubs and White Sox both played a couple of series to start the season, and the White Sox are looking like, and the Cubs are looking better than I thought they would look. Yesterday they both lost tough games. You got the Orioles coming to town, and then you got the Cubs going to the West Coast to go against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yesterday, the White Sox took an L to the Minnesota Twins, losing the series. They're now 5-8. Here comes my boy. What's good, my guy?
What is going on?
Not too much, man. Been looking forward to this all day. Been telling the people that we got a few things to talk about, previewing the next series that the Cubs and the White Sox got going, and then we're also going to be talking about what's going on, Jacob Capone, Don. What's the word, my guy? We're also going to be discussing the series that just played.
Okay.
So man, we'll start with the Cubs. The Cubs won another series, even though they ended up losing the last game of the series, pretty much again, like they did with the last one. What do you think about them this past series?
They was really impressive. The Mariners supposed to be in a really tough team, so it's okay. They don't take the sweep out. This is just showing a lot of character. They going up against some heavy hitters and bringing it home. So like, especially putting on an offensive display at home, that's really great. I want to attribute the new lights at Wrigley to help them out as well. So the Cubs really impressive win against the Rangers, impressive wins against the Mariners, and I can't wait to this series against the Dodgers.
Oh yeah. Then on the other side, you got the White Sox that are kind of playing like they lost some major players already with Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada, and Loya Menez. But at some point, you gotta overlook that or get past that. It's been every season, all three of them at one point or another have gotten hurt. The next man up mentality should be what's happening, especially since it's early in the season, coming off spring training. Now they did just call up a pitcher. They're trying to get their roster together and go into this series at home. They have started 10 out of their first 13 games on the road. So now they're back home and they're playing against a pretty good Orioles team. But what did you think about them in their last series?
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. It should have been next man up, and we haven't been seeing that. We've been seeing Robert just playing out his mind, but
Yes.
he's not executing when the game is needed. It's like empty stats. It's like, because you're a basketball guy, it's like somebody coming off the bench and dropping 5 threes and you're already getting blown out by 20. So, it just, and it's 5 minutes left in the game. You drop 5 threes, like, all right, I love the effort, but you're not going to win the game if you're trading buckets, right?
Well,
So,
I wouldn't say that about Robert. One of the games against Minnesota, he actually tied it up with a home run in the ninth and fourth extra innings. They just couldn't get them. They couldn't get him over with the man in running for scoring position in the 10th inning. I feel like you're right. Also, in the times where they were losing bad, but after the Pittsburgh series, this Minnesota series, all the games were, the score wasn't like it was in that Pittsburgh series or that San Francisco series. So I feel like the pitching actually showed up, even though they hadn't shown up in those first two series. They showed up, but the bats got quiet. So I think Luis actually still played the way that he'd been playing all season, but the rest of the guys, and Andrew Vaughn too, I got to give him some love. He's been doing his thing, and the rookie been doing his thing, but it hasn't been consistent up and down the lineup. There hasn't been any timely hitting. Runners in scoring position are getting left all over base. When they were hitting 10, 11, 12 times a game, they were still only scoring, 3, 4 runs. So they got to figure out how to get these guys across the base paths.
offense is not the problem. It's the little things like defense. That's what lost on that
Oh,
last game.
defense
You
been
know,
terrible.
Defense been terrible all season, and also one of the bugaboos that have been hurting the
Except
Sox.
except Luis Robert. He been balling out there in center
Oh yeah,
field.
he been balling. He's plus defender right now, but former Gold Glover and Benny and left, and also Oscar Colas has actually been playing below average. So we
First base is, oh my
first
God. His
first
first base
base,
is, oh.
yeah. It's those little things that that Grafal said that he's gonna make them change. They got to go back to the basic and sure up. Those are things that win games. So as I say that Roberts have been putting up empty stats. All right, we can call out one game that he tied up a game, but I can call out 2-3 games where he didn't get the runners over him that was in runners in scoring position. He struck out in key at bats. He popped out trying to hit home runs. And also one of the bugaboos for the Sox that's been plaguing them for the last 3 seasons is they struggle on the road. You're not playing 162 games at home. You're not
Right.
even playing 120 games at home. You playing an even series, 81-81. And they have to take these series on the road. They have to go to enemy territory because hostile environments and playoffs is a different beast. And it's momentum changing, and it can zap any kind of energy you have in the comeback. And we done seen it time and time again in the playoffs. And if you're not mastering beating teams on the road, you might as well hang your seat up and look forward to 2024.
Yeah, it's like that pretty much across all the sports, right? But
Yeah, all sports.
speaking of hostile territories, the Chicago Cubs are flying out to the West Coast, and now they got to take on the dangerous, strong LA Dodgers. They're starting off better than people thought they would this season.
Well, I don't know why people would doubt the Dodgers. Probably one, they lost a couple of rotation pieces. They lost one of their glue guys in Justin Turner. He was a little bit older on the older side. They didn't have an outfield, but they actually one of the best teams, like one or two teams that kind of produce players that can, next man up. This guy out, next man up. You got Miguel Vargas over there. You got Gavin Lux is out for the season, injured in spring training, but you had Gavin Lux. You got a couple of guys that they waiting on that's coming up in the pitching ranks that can take over probably mid-season. But I'm happy that the Cubs is playing a West Coast stretch early in the season versus in June. Because everybody know the saying, June swoon. That's when they get that West Coast swing, and they just cannot beat any teams, take no series, and take big as L's. I'd rather get this toughness out the way now than when immediately the season is happening, June and July.
I feel you on that one. So you got the Cubs. You guys still going against, what is it, Snyder Guard?
Snyder Guard. Oh, yeah.
Against Snyder Guard from the Dodgers tomorrow. That's going to be at 9:10 p.m. It's a late game. You know how the West Coast games go. Who you got tomorrow in tomorrow's matchup? How you think the Cubs looking in this series coming up against the Dodgers?
Of course, I got the Cubs. But what people don't realize that actually Justin Steele been one of the top 3 pitchers since June of last year in ERA. And it was Justin Verlander, Justin Steele, and Jacob deGrom. A lot of J's right there. There's been the top 3 pitchers since last time. I think maybe Clayton Kershaw was in there instead of Verlander. I'll probably have to look again, but there was the top 3 sub 180 ERAs for them 3 pitchers since last June up until this day starts up into this season. That's very impressive, especially looking at all the Cy Young candidates that's been playing, even with Dylan Cease. Like he's an outside looking in on this list.
Right.
And Justin Steele is like one of the top 3 pitchers in baseball in the last season and a half. So,
well, it should be a good game and a good series, and it'll really show where the Cubs are mentally if they're going against a team like the Dodgers and they actually take this series like they've taken the last 2.
Well, that the Cubs and the Dodgers have a long rival since like 2007, 2008 when they was in the playoff, and Lasorda didn't want to, not Lasorda, but
La Russa?
Torre. Joe Torre.
Yeah, Joe Torre, yeah.
Yeah, in the playoffs, refused to put a left-hander against the Cubs left-handed lineup and beat him handedly. Like he disrespected him. I always hated Joe Torre because of that, man. I ain't gonna never he made Cubs look didn't use a left-hander in the series, and the Cubs had a left-handed lineup. But the real story that we should look at is just Jason Haywood playing against the Cubs, who actually a totally rebuilt hitter right now. He hitting the ball with authority. His exit velocity is now over like 95 with the Cubs. He was averaging 83, 84 exit velocity. He hitting over about 95 averaging right now. It's early in the season, but let's let him know that his arms are healthy and strong. You know, he dealt with a lot of wrist injuries with us. He had a little bit of a shoulder injury the last couple of years, so that zapped a lot of your power. But they transformed his swing, and he's like really hitting the ball with authority out there.
And it's something about LA that's just like rejuvenating. You know what I'm saying? It helped you get your stroke back.
Yeah, they got sun 12 months out the year. You come here like Chicago, you can wait for the sun to July. Like you're not getting beaming sun down to July, and then all of a sudden everybody hitting in July, and your opposing team tearing you up with home runs.
Yes, sir. So now you got over on the other side, the White Sox are starting their series versus the Orioles. It should be an interesting series. Neither team has really shown me much so far this season in terms of separating themselves from the pack. The White Sox, I believe, are pitching. Who's pitching for the White Sox? I wrote it down. Was it Clevenger, I believe, for the White Sox? And then it's Wells from the other side.
Yeah. What I think about that series is that this is a trap game for the White Sox because, one, the Orioles is an up-and-coming team right now. They hitting for a lot of power. They very pesky. They come back late in the game, and they're a strong defensive team. You know, they probably haven't got there yet to where they know how to win games. But when they get their momentum on their side, it's over with.
No, the Orioles are a good team. Last year they were in it until late August, and it kind of faded away.
Yeah, that's because they was playing in one of the hardest divisions in baseball.
It still is. Like the AL East was ridiculous. I thought the whole division was gonna make the playoffs at one point.
Yeah, you know, like man, they was gonna get all the wild cards, 1, 2, and 3, and then it's really interesting, especially with how you got the Tampa Bay, how they playing right now.
They haven't lost yet. That's nuts, bro.
They world beaters, man. It's just like, man, they churn out some of the not even necessary generational talents.
No, they're a small market team. They're a small market team with a small budget, and they still putting out a product that just can't be beat. You got to shout out to that squad, and it would be good to see other teams kind of try to figure out how to do the same thing.
Well, you know that the Dodgers took Andrew Friedman from them, and that's why they number 2, like best churning out prospects and keep that cycle going. Cubs try to emulate, and they haven't really got it right now. Well, right now they got an abundance of prospects that can help them, you know. But that's what make a baseball team. If you get people that's rated at average, slightly above average across the board everywhere in your diamond, you got a tough baseball team to beat. That's why you look at all the playoffs now. You don't see the San Diego's get loaded up their whole lineup last year with pitching and hitting, and they was out the first round.
Yep.
Now you got Philadelphia loaded up, top to bottom with the best hitters in the game. They don't even have a winning record right now. So it's not an exact formula. You go out there and you have guys that's out there passionate to play ball, believe in what they want to do, and you have a leader among those young men. They don't care what's the name on the back of their jersey. They're gonna dominate.
Oh yeah, and that's how it's supposed to be. So after this, the White Sox, man, like they're gonna have to bring their A game versus the Orioles because their schedule is like completely brutal for the rest of the month of April. Like after Baltimore, they got Philly coming to town, and then they go to Tampa Bay. So like the White Sox are looking at a situation where they can find themselves dug in a deep hole by the end of the month.
That's true, but also Grafal need to come in here and let them know, like, hey, this is our playoffs. This is our playoffs. You go in it. You already opened the season against the defending world champs. You split the series with them. That's fine. That's great. Let's build off of that. We down. We 5-8. We down 3 games on the 500. Let's not worry about it. This is the playoffs now for us because we going to be meeting these guys again in the playoffs. We meeting the Rays. We meeting the Yankees sometimes down the line. These are the teams that you have to beat to get to the World Series, and you got to get that all that data early in the season. So when you get to the end of the season, you already strategizing. They already got your plan to beat them.
Yeah, because Grifal said he doesn't like the fact that people keep saying that it's early. It's not early. It's a game. It's a Major League Baseball game that we've got to win, whether it's April 1st or freaking September something. And he has to, and like he got to drill this into his players right now, because at the end of the day, like it's gonna be tough to beat all these, especially Tampa Bay. Like they haven't lost yet, and you got to play them twice in them 2 weeks span. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
the it's not looking good.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, I mean the pitching has come down to earth. They struggled a little bit against Pittsburgh and against San Francisco, but they're doing better. Like against Minnesota, they pitched, I believe, 3 good games in my opinion. Like they didn't really give up many runs. The offense kind of failed them. The bullpen failed them as well. So hopefully they can bring their A game at home against the Orioles,
Yeah, I
because they
mean,
didn't bring it at home against Pittsburgh.
yeah. Well, you look at it when against Minnesota division wide, which you have to beat your division rivals. No
Yep.
matter what, you have to beat them, because at the end of the game, I told you last video or a couple of videos before, because if you drop a series to them, it's gonna come back and bite you at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I've
Yep.
never been a fan of like, hey, it's still early. No, you got to go out there and win by any means necessary. I understand the weather's out here, prepare different. I understand, and I understand in June you may get a better grip on the fastball. Do something different, pitch a different way. We can't take these excuses, because at the end of the day, those wins and losses are in the columns. And then
Now, the Cubs, they after they play LA, they play Oakland, and then LA comes to town, and then they go back out to San Diego. I'm sorry, no, San Diego comes to town, and then they go out to Miami to close out the month. So the Cubs are looking like, hey, if they keep playing the way they've been playing, the Cubs should be looking good at the end, and they can at least still be at 500 or a little bit better.
yeah, those Cubs got a brutal schedule too, and I think they don't have an off day for a while after today. I think they probably don't. They go maybe a month without an off day or something like that. Oh yeah,
Well, they go to the 24th.
to the 24th with no off day.
So yeah, they play the 14th through the 24th with no off days. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 10 straight games with no off days.
Yeah, so that's one of the things with the Cubs for the last couple of seasons. I don't know why Major League Baseball been testing them like that. They've been having long stretches. Like go with 10 games is fine, but long stretches where they haven't, got an off day. I remember last year that with a couple of rainouts that they went like almost a full month without an off day, and with travel and everything. So again, with the Cubs, it's beating those teams that's are beatable, and also being competitive against the teams that on paper is better than you. The Dodgers are better than you. The Dodgers been in this position. You know where your particular team at. You still trying to find your roster construction right now. You still don't have any outfielders. You still only have 2 outfielders on the roster. We may get Suzuki back this weekend for the Dodgers. So he got to get assimilated to Major League game action. He may be a little bit behind. How would that look? How would you construct the lineup to protect him? You still got bookend on pitching that's kind of iffy. You got a good outing from Smiley now, but now you got to figure out what to do with the 5th spot. Are you pushing Weneski's spot back, in the lineup?
Ooh, Wesneski been looking.
He been looking
Jeez.
terrible. Like, do you push him back to pitch against, Oakland versus him landing in with against the Dodgers? Like, or do you send him down to get up a fresh arm that can be competitive against the Dodgers, or you just skip it all together?
He definitely got work to do. Now on the White Sox side, they're going to be without like those 3 guys who were down. They're going to be out for the next 3, 4, 2, 3 weeks. They're going to stagger themselves back in with Moncada, Anderson, and Eloy Jimenez, and it's going to be up to those guys to right the ship like as soon as they get back too. Ain't no feeling out period. Need to get into the lineup and take care of business, because the White Sox could be struggling bad by the time they get back to full strength on the roster side.
Yeah, I didn't know Makata was out. I knew coming in from spring training he had the back issue and the rib issue, but he came out with a torrid start. So did the back issue put him out recently
Yeah, he's been out a couple of games actually.
because of
So
the back?
yeah, I believe it's because of the bat. But let me check real
Yeah.
quick to find out what
I haven't
happened.
checked on him, but usually I troll Sox fans about the injuries, but I really, I'm trying to be nice this season, and
Nah, it depends on where you at. You're gonna be nice on here, but when you in the locker room, it's a whole different story.
oh,
So
don't threaten me with a good time to make me be sanitized against the Sox. I don't know. I might put on the face and be hating the Sox all day on the voice. We can argue about that, man.
nah, it's all good. We could do
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, it's the back injury still,
Okay. Yes.
back soreness.
Yeah, that is difficult. Depending on like if it was back tightness, back soreness. I don't know. That's probably just a few games. He probably be back within a week. If it's just general back soreness, just a rest. I know that's been nagging him. Now, if we talking about back tightness, that's
Hmm.
different. Like if it upgrades or he have a back sprain, that's different. He may be out for a couple of months. Because
Yeah.
you don't need to play with that back injury, and that's evaporating your power. You can't run. You start cramping and having spasms every so often. That's one of the difficult things to diagnose too. So that's why it's like the quad, not the quad, but the lat muscle. When Suzuki had the lat muscle, they said he easily could have missed like almost 2-3 months. Like
Hmm.
Horner did in 2021 when he was breaking out. He had a lat injury and he missed a good portion of the season. So
It's probably what happened to Tiger Woods.
that that too. But when you look at the Sox, especially with their roster and everything like that, I don't think this is going to put a lot of pressure on Robert to perform.
Hmm.
It's going to put a
Yep.
lot of pressure on Colas. This is going to put a lot of pressure on
Andre
Vaughn.
and Vaughn
Yeah,
and Ben Sheets, he made too many defensive mistakes,
yeah,
especially over at first base. Man, we're gonna see what happens, man. We ain't gonna hold y'all hostage talking baseball. We can do it all night.
yeah.
We appreciate you for rocking with us. We got the Cubs and White Sox back in action tomorrow. We're definitely gonna be hitting y'all with the highlights and the shorts on the YouTube channel. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us on Chicago White Sox and Chicago Cubs, or Chicago Cubs and Chicago White Sox Central, however you want to say it. I'm your host, Big Bro. We got Pac-Man in the building. We appreciate you guys for the comments. Jake Capone saying go Sox. You already know. But I'm one of those people that root for both squads. I'm a Sox fan first. I'm gonna definitely get some people on here that you can debate though, because it's gonna be fun. Grab
Um,
somebody from the grab somebody from the locker room that be arguing with you and toss them on up in
Toss it on him. I'll destroy him. They think this is a game. I'll destroy him, man. It's over with for him.
Hey, we'll see. We'll see. So y'all make sure y'all like, follow, share. You see the phone number and the email on the bottom, scrolling across. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us. Don't forget to check out the other Central channels. That's the NBA Central. That's Chicago Bulls Central, Chicago Bears Central. And you also have Chicago Sky Central. So we appreciate you guys for rocking with us. Oh yeah, and of course the Cognac Boys, the Shot Bulls podcast. Go ahead and check those channels out. Grade A quality content. We're gonna holler at y'all next time for real tomorrow. You're getting the post game. You did? Peace.
Welcome to the number one place for all Chicago baseball.